I just feel that if I go into the shower with makeup on, the steam will push the powder on my face into my pores, which is too uncomfortable, and I can't stand it, Yunyan said genuinely. Jiang Yunyan thought about it again, then hummed and turned to leave. Yunyan turned her head and saw that he was no longer at the door, thinking, why is this person so strange? She had only completed the primary task of returning home, which was to remove her makeup, and hadn't relaxed enough to shower while Jiang Yunyan was still there. Coming out of the bathroom, she saw Jiang Yunyan sitting back on the sofa, peeling an apple to himself. Yunyan stood there for a moment, motionless, remembering how he used to peel apples for her. She had disliked eating apple skins since childhood. After Yin came to the Yu family, the task of peeling apples fell to him. Thus, whenever Yunyan wanted to eat an apple, Yin would silently pick up an apple and peel it unhurriedly. Yin always peeled apples very thinly, exceptionally so. Yunyan once observed carefully that the apple peel Yin removed was almost transparently thin, the kind that wouldn't break from start to finish. The long peel, when gently lifted, would even have elasticity. Yunyan tried it too, but the result was that a rather large apple shrunk by several sizes. Yin even joked, rarely, you could peel half a caddy of flesh off the skin. She curiously asked Yin how he could peel apples so thinly. Yin said, the key is using the knife Mississippi. I'm often handling knives. Yunyan understood. Before, she hadn't understood the bitterness behind Yin's words. Later, when she grew up and never met Jiang Yunyan again, whenever she thought of Yin's words, her heart would inexplicably ache. Yunyan stood there, quietly watching Jiang Yunyan's fruit knife gently remove the apple peel. The long peel slowly descended from between his slender fingers, gradually growing longer and longer. Why are you standing? Sit. Jiang Yunyan lifted his eyelids slightly. I'm not here to collect a debt. Yunyan sat on the sofa, thinking to herself, you're scarier than a debt collector. Jiang Yunyan casually handed her the peeled apple. Yunyan was startled. She hadn't expected he was peeling the apple for her. Jiang Yunyan mistook her stunned expression and said calmly, I washed my hands when I came in, don't worry. Yunyan, of course, knew he'd washed his hands. After taking the apple, she said, I just didn't expect. Jiang Yunyan glanced at her, saying nothing. In fact, he hadn't expected it either. Sitting down and seeing the apple, he just naturally peeled it for her. All these years, he thought he had forgotten this habit, because in the days without her by his side, he had never done it. You just said that men who want to be friends with me always have the ultimate goal of getting me. I don't deny that. Yunyan felt refreshed after washing her face, then continued the unfinished topic. Today, I met with CEO C mainly to discuss Jiangcheng's matter. C Tinji has been secretly obstructing it, preventing the project from moving forward. CEO C later had plans to pursue me, but the reasons even I can think of, I imagine you can too. Jiang Yunyan looked up at her. What reasons can you think of? Yunyan sighed softly and frankly told Jiang Yunyan her views, then said, if it were before, I might consider it. Being in affluent circles, commercial marriages are inevitable, and I become more open-minded about many things. Jiang Yunyan chuckled. Given the Yu family's current situation, even if you don't want to rely on the Jiang family, the C family is a good option. Or do you think you and Yu Wanzhou have the ability to make a comeback without any external help? Being born into wealth made me deeply understand what our ancestors said, a proper match between families. Setting aside values, purely in terms of power, if one party has to depend on the other, then in that marriage, one party will inevitably have to swallow their pride, and over time, the marriage will breed resentment and bitterness. Marriages of convenience are inherently for the purpose of mutual benefit and exchange. Whether it's the Jiang family or the C family, the Yu family currently has nothing to offer in exchange. As for me, I don't want to get married easily, and once married, I don't want to divorce easily, so I don't want to spend the rest of my life swallowing my pride. Jiang Yunyan looked at her for a long time, then suddenly asked, whether it's the Jiang family or the C family, is this truly the reason you don't want to enter them? Yunyan, of course. Why ask that? Jiang Yunyan adjusted his sitting posture, his gaze as deep as an abyss. Or is it because, whether it's the Jiang family or the C family, there's no one you want to marry? Yunyan put the apple aside, pulled a tissue to wipe her hands. From a purely business perspective, both Jiang Zhe and C Tingyuan are excellent choices. But from an emotional perspective, there's no one in the Jiang or C families I want to marry. Thinking of marrying into the Zhan family in the capital? Jiang Yunyan said unhurriedly. Yunyan froze, then after a long moment, what? Jiang Yunyan stared at her with piercing eyes. After a long pause, he suddenly smiled, saying word by word, Yunyan, you're dreaming. He didn't continue the topic, simply ending it abruptly with one sentence. Yunyan's heart was in turmoil. The two words Zhan family made her head ache. After a long while, she spoke, What I'm thinking about right now isn't marriage. Jiang Ninian looked at her, his gaze indifferent. Since you're free today, I'll help Mr. Huang inquire about the project. You've given him the fishing rod. It wouldn't be right not to let him catch a fish or two. Young Master Yin might not care about his own reputation, but the Jiang family's reputation still matters. Yun Yin returned to business. After Yuan Zhou took the lead on the factory cooperation contract, the process moved quickly. The factory contract was signed, and because Mrs. Huang was involved, Yun Yin was willing to help connect the dots. Jiang Ninian was no fool. He smiled faintly and asked her, and then? I mentioned to CEO Huang that the middleman definitely needs to get a cut. Yun Yin didn't hide it from Jiang Ninian. Since she couldn't hide it anyway, she might as well be direct. Consider it pocket money for the Yu family. Jiang Ninian smiled and asked her, pocket money? If you dared to promise CEO Huang, you must have asked for a hefty sum, right? His tone didn't sound angry. Yun Yin said lightly, it's fine, probably not even crumbs from cake. Jiang Ninian raised an eyebrow slightly upon hearing this. Miss you, do you know how big this project is to say it's not even crumbs? I know projects handled by you won't be small, but you won't let CEO Huang get deeply involved, and even if he does, he won't get much share. So, young Master Yin, tell me, how much profit can I get? Isn't it less than even cake crumbs? Jiang Ninian looked at Yun Yin thoughtfully, a faint smile playing on his lips. Yun Yin, you're quite bold, setting your sights on me. No, I wouldn't dare, Yun Yin said softly. I wouldn't dare scheme against young Master Yin, no matter who else. No. Jiang Ninian smiled faintly, his eyes deep, revealing nothing of his true thoughts. Why didn't I notice before that you were so desperate? How can you say desperate? Yun Yin asked deliberately. Jiang Ninian leaned back lazily. No profit, no early rising. You're starting with familiar targets, aren't you? Yun Yin lowered her gaze, appearing docile. Young Master Yin misunderstands. A moment later, she added, originally, I didn't promise Huang anything. There was a 95% chance it wouldn't work out, and I made that clear to him. The remaining 5%, where does your confidence come from? Jiang Ninian asked. It's not that I'm confident, but I thought about it. The Jiang family dominates the entire North China market, and all the profits that can be developed are already visible. You previously mentioned going to Nanzhou. For you to go personally indicates your intention to expand the market, and there must already be significant signs of it. Although CEO Huang isn't particularly remarkable, he has the backing of the Shanghai Circle. Even if you don't think highly of him, it's not worth offending him. To swallow the benefits of the Shanghai Circle, you need a path clearer, and CEO Huang is very suitable for that. So, I assume, 9 times out of 10, young Master Yin, you'd be willing to offer him a small token of profit for the project he cares about. Yun Yin spoke in a calm tone, yet she said all this at length. Jiang Ninian listened throughout the process, his face showing no sign of annoyance. Only after she finished speaking did he say, so, you try to figure out what I'm thinking? Yun Yin pursed her lips, then after a moment, looked up at him. Am I wrong? Jiang Ninian didn't say whether she was right or wrong. He just looked at her quietly for a while, then suddenly said, the Huang family, the Si family, and even the Jiang family, many people and many things are all seen by you, Yun Yin. I truly underestimated you. Yun Yin remained silent. She could see through some things and some people. Even Jiang Ninian's thoughts, she had dared to try and uncover just now. From the looks of it, her guess was largely accurate. But even so, Yun Yin held back, not daring to be too blatant. Because Jiang Ninian was different from others. People like CEO Huang and CEO Si were ruthless figures who fought their way up in the business world. But Jiang Ninian? He grew up in bloodshed from a young age, so he could be ruthless openly, and perhaps even more so in the shadows. She didn't dare to take risks. Actually, Jiang Ninian suddenly smiled faintly, looking at her languidly. You don't need to beat around the bush for what you want. Yun Yin looked up at him. He reached out to her. Come here. Yun Yin instinctively recoiled. No. Jiang Ninian paused, seemingly amused. Am I going to eat you? Come here quickly. Yun Yin reluctantly shuffled closer to him. As he reached out to touch her, she immediately said, Young Master Yin, I'm really quite tired. Jiang Ninian had a smile in his eyes. I haven't had you today. Why are you tired? I've been quite tired these past few days. Yun Yin said this with a hint of complaint, but not too much, just the right amount. Jiang Ninian's expression seemed to hold back, suppressing a smile, his voice light. I just asked you to come closer. Did I say I was going to do anything? Yun Yin's eyes lit up. You promised not to? After asking, she felt a little regret. Jiang Ninian, hearing this, leaned his handsome face close to her as if appraising her. It made her uncomfortable all over. He parted his thin lips slightly, his tone seemingly teasing. Yun Yin, I think you quite enjoy yourself in bed. Yun Yin's ears flushed hot, and she pressed her back against the sofa. But Jiang Yinyin had no intention of letting her go. As she retreated, he advanced, circling her within his reach. You just said you wouldn't. Did I say that? Did I promise you? Jiang Yinyin fired off 2 questions consecutively. Yunyin stared at him, her body tensed. Yunyin. Jiang Yinyin uttered her name from between his lips, with a hint of playfulness, yet sounding soft and low. At this moment, Yunyin's heart subtly trembled, and her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Only then did she realize that at some point, he had started calling her Yunyin instead of Miss You. Jiang Yinyin's thin lips were slightly cool, touching her cheek almost imperceptibly. He said, "You can tell me directly what you want, as long as you're enticing enough." Yunyin's breath came in tighter and tighter gasps. She smiled faintly, her eyes falling on his cool, thin lips. Young Master Yin doesn't seem like the type to lose his head over lust. It depends on who the other person is. Jiang Yinyin's lips lightly touched hers. If it's you, I might consider it. Yunyin allowed him to touch her, neither avoiding nor struggling. His lips gradually grew warm, carrying a strong masculine aura and a very faint scent of alcohol. She felt her head spinning, and it had to be said that Jiang Yinyin possessed undeniable sexual tension, making one unconsciously fall into it. But she was still somewhat rational. She said, "I really do have something I want. Tell me." Jiang Yinyin's lips gently moved down, lingering on her soft, fair neck. It made Yunyin's heart leap to her throat. "I want young Master Yin to let me go, okay?" Jiang Yinyin's low chuckle was in her ear. He raised his face to look at her, his eyes deep. "You can make more demands, for instance, ensuring the interests of your Yu family. Let you go." Yunyin, asking for that is wasting an opportunity. Yunyin slightly lowered her gaze, looking at the man's high nose bridge. "Young Master Yin told me to ask for anything, so what I asked for should be up to me, right?" "Right." Jiang Yinyin smiled faintly. However, he changed his tone, and when he straightened up and sat back on the sofa, his expression was solemn. "This request, don't even think about it." Yunyin had long expected this, felt no disappointment or anger, just smiled and said nothing. Jiang Yinyin asked her why she was smiling. She said, "Elderly people in Beishir love to keep birds locked in cages. Those cages are each more beautiful and exquisite than the last. As for the birds, as long as they are docile and obedient in the cage, they can eat the most expensive feed." She smiled, looking at Jiang Yinyin. "Am I not just that bird in a cage to young Master Yin?" Jiang Yinyin didn't object upon hearing this, his tone indifferent. "Even if the cage is opened, do you think the bird in the cage would dare to fly away?" "As long as that bird is allowed to fly away, it can fly away," Yunyin said word by word. Jiang Yinyin looked at her, deep twilight in his eyes, and his tone also turned cold. "Put those thoughts aside. I won't let you go." Yunyin pursed her lips, saying nothing. The room was quiet. This silence lasted quite a while. It lasted so long that Yunyin started thinking. Since the conversation has reached an impasse, why not just stop talking? Why keep wasting time like this? Just as she was about to say she was tired and wanted a rest, Jiang Yinyin spoke. "I'll give you a contact. Tomorrow, pass it to Huang Jifa and have him go find that person." Yinyin was stunned, not expecting him to talk about this again. Jiang Yinyin said, "Remember, just say this person is your friend. I've already made arrangements there." At this point, he smiled again and said, "I think you can figure it out without me reminding you." Yinyin bit her lip hard. "Yes, I'll definitely make Huang Jifa feel indebted for this favor." Jiang Yinyin stared at her and suddenly asked, "Is the money I gave you not enough?" "That's 2 different things." Besides, although she had taken the card, she had never touched the money in it. Jiang Yinyin's expression was not pleased. "Spend it when you should." Yunyin didn't want to provoke him, so she hummed an affirmation. Jiang Yinyin looked up at the time on the wall. Seeing this, Yunyin was overjoyed in her heart and quickly stood up. "Young Master Yin must be tired, right? You should go back and rest early." After asking this question, Yunyin felt uncertain. Yunyin was stunned. Apply medicine? Ask her to apply medicine? And at her house. After a moment's thought, Yunyin offered a reasonable suggestion. "Young Master Yin, don't you think you should let old Lu accompany you to the hospital? Basic disinfection is fine. I'm tough." Jiang Yinyin leaned back on the sofa, clearly settling in to impose on her. "Knowing you, you'd have a medical kit ready, and it's probably quite comprehensive." Yunyin was silent. Yes, Jiang Yinyin was not wrong about that. She did have a habit of keeping a medical kit. Not a simple one, but equipped with quite professional equipment and medicines. Even Xiaomin would say that what she had was a mini pharmacy. This habit came from her mother, who always kept the medical kit particularly complete and professional. Of course, it sometimes came in handy in the large mansion. With many people around, it was normal for situations to arise now and then. Yunyin subconsciously looked at Jiang Yinyin's arm. Just that one glance, and Jiang Yinyan understood what she was thinking. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing a strong forearm. On the inside of his forearm was an extremely faint scar, but it was so inconspicuous that one wouldn't notice it without a close look. But Yunyan knew the scar existed. It must have been a year after Yin came to the Yu family. Yunyan still remembered the crabapple blossoms in the garden were in full bloom. It was an afternoon, and the crabapple flowers exuded bursts of fragrant scent in the warm sunlight. Yunyan loved the crabapple tree in the garden, located in the deepest part, filled with birdsong and floral fragrance, undisturbed. In spring, she loved the scent of the crabapple blossoms, and when the fruit ripened in autumn, her mother would make sweet and sour crabapple jam from the crabapples, which, spread on fragrant toast, was unbelievably delicious. Her mother was artistic at heart. She said she made crabapple jam to emulate the Song Empress Dowager, as the crabapple tree in Prince Gong's mansion was the Empress Dowager's favorite. What Yunyan heard most from her mother was about Beishir. When she was young, she wondered why her mother, born in Jiangnan, particularly favored the northern region. As she grew older, she asked her mother, who said that Beishir had completely different customs and traditions from Jiangnan, grand and magnificent. Regardless of the reason, Yunyan simply loved that old crabapple tree. She would secretly climb it when the servants weren't looking, sitting on a thick branch to reach for the fragrant clusters of crabapple blossoms. But that afternoon, she fell from the tree, and Yin, quick as a flash, caught her. She was crying hysterically from fright, convinced she would die because the crabapple tree was so tall. But in fact, she was unharmed. Yin held her tightly, becoming her human cushion, and his forearm was scratched as a result. The reason Yunyan feared she would die at the time was because her hand was covered in blood. Later, when she learned it was Yin's blood, she cried even harder, believing Yin would die. Jiang Yinyan still remembered the incident. He lowered his head, looked at the scar on his forearm, and said with a half-smile, "You cried hysterically that year, saying that if someone absolutely had to die, it should be you." "Who cried hysterically?" Yunyan retorted, a smile in Jiang Yinyan's eyes. "Then how about bathed in tears? That's more like it." Yunyan could accept that term. After all, she was still a little girl back then, and hysterically was too damaging to her image. Her true thought at the time was that she had implicated Yin, whose life wasn't a life. If it weren't for her, Yin wouldn't have been so seriously injured, so she had thought about trading her life for his. Anyway, no matter how she cried, it was a fact that Yin was injured. But Yin was tough as nails. He tore a large strip from his t-shirt to wrap his wound without a single cry of pain. It was only after her mother saw him that she pulled him into a room, stitched him up, and bandaged him. Her mother wasn't a doctor, yet she dared to stitch a person, and judging by the recovery of Jiang Yinyan's scar now, her mother's stitching skills were quite high. But because of this incident, her father offered her mother a suggestion, roughly meaning it would be safer to send anyone injured in the mansion directly to the hospital, as treating wounds at home was too hasty. Her father was like that. Even when he had an opinion about her mother, he would only communicate it gently. He had never flown into a rage with her mother. Her mother didn't think she had done anything wrong. She said she only stitched Yin after ensuring safety and hygiene, and she believed that even doctors and hospitals couldn't stitch as well as she could. Yunyan was still young that year and didn't understand what there was to argue about. Wasn't Yin safe and sound? But later, her father acquired a private hospital, which was a chain with its headquarters in Beishir. This made it convenient for people from the old mansion to go to the hospital. If Yunyan or Yu Junzhou had a headache or fever, they would go directly to their own hospital. The qualifications of the doctors were, of course, beyond question, as they hired top-tier domestic experts and doctors with extensive international clinical experience. But her mother had never been to their own hospital. Yunyan brought out the medicine kit, first washed her hands, and then told Jiang Yinyan, "My skills are definitely not as good as my mother's, so don't get angry if I hurt you." Jiang Yinyan was momentarily helpless. "I won't get angry." He wasn't some little girl who'd get angry just because it hurt. In fact, Jiang Yinyan's wound healed quite quickly. Just as he said, he was tough. But Yunyan thought it stemmed from his good physical condition. She was very careful when removing the gauze. Jiang Yinyan looked at her and said, "It's fine, I'm not that delicate." Yunyan said casually, "It's not that I'm afraid you'll hurt. You can endure a stab wound, so you definitely won't be unable to bear this slight pain now. I'm worried the gauze might stick to the wound, and if I pull too hard, it might bleed." Jiang Yinyan looked at her, finding it both amusing and exasperating. In fact, she was truly overthinking it. His wound had almost completely healed. The so-called application of medicine was a superfluous act. Yunyan knew he was deliberately making trouble. So she simply cleaned the wound with disinfectant and re-bandaged it. Jiang Yinyan saw through her perfunctory attitude, suppressing a smile. "Compared to Mrs. Yu, your technique is much more amateurish." Yunyan scoffed inwardly. Asterisk, I'm not a doctor. If you think I'm amateurish, go to the hospital then. Asterisk. She packed up the medical kit and was about to leave when Jiang Yinyan pulled her back. You're so perfunctory with me. Shouldn't there be some compensation? Perfunctory? Yunyan looked helpless, thinking to herself, just covering your wound with gauze is an insult to it. And my applying medicine is called perfunctory? What perfunctory? But the key point was in his words compensation. Yunyan became alert. What are you going to do? Jiang Yinyan smiled unhurriedly. Didn't I just say? Say what? Yunyan's heart skipped a beat. Jiang Yinyan pulled her closer, his arm naturally wrapping around her waist. I just said, you help me apply medicine, and I'll leave after it's applied. Yinyan said, yes, so the medicine is applied, you can leave. The medicine's done, but I haven't had my share yet. Jiang Yinyan's lips curved, his eyes like a surging dark river. Once I've had you, I'll leave. With that, he pressed her down onto the sofa. The ultimate goal of Mrs. Huang's covert showdown with Huang Jifa was not divorce. Mrs. Huang's demand was simple, to return to the board of directors and have a say. In Mrs. Huang's words, if Huang Jifa is truly devoted to Anin until death, then my return to the board won't be too big a blow to him. People who want to live happily ever after together. I'll grant him his wish, as long as he's willing to give up everything. Yunyan was well aware that Huang Jifa would never give up everything for that girl. And how much did Anin truly love Huang Jifa? Perhaps even Huang Jifa himself knew that if he were no longer Huang Jifa, Anin would bid him farewell. Mrs. Huang was very principled. Even with her own affairs in a mess, she didn't forget to ask about Yunyan's mother. She said, Su Huai went to see Sister Lan last time, but he wouldn't tell me the details, saying it was patient privacy. I mean, I've already seen Sister Lan, and I was the one who connected them, so what privacy could there be? That Su Huai really is something. There was privacy. After leaving the sanatorium, before Yunyan even had a chance to remind him, Su Huai quietly told her, don't worry, I'll keep Mrs. Yu's matter strictly confidential. Su Huai was also very dedicated. He immediately contacted a team of experts to cooperate with the sanatorium's medical team to research and analyze Yunyan's mother's condition. For this, Yunyan was quite grateful to Su Huai. Su Huai smiled and asked her, since you're so grateful, how about you offer yourself to me? Not good, Yunyan said. I believe Dr. Su will definitely find a better girl. Yu Junzhou knew Su Huai's intentions and didn't want Yunyan to owe Su Huai a favor. So he took full charge of Yunyan's mother's treatment, instructing the sanatorium to contact him directly with any issues, including Dr. Su Huai's opinions, which should be reported directly to him. Su Huai was quite straightforward, smiling as he said to Yu Junzhou, others are fixated on helping their brothers, but you're fixated on protecting your sister. Yu Junzhou didn't dislike Su Huai. On the contrary, he was quite grateful to him. So he smiled and said, is that not allowed? Su Huai was exasperated and amused, retorting, your sister will get married sooner or later. Are you not going to let her? Yu Junzhou said, we'll talk about it when she truly wants to get married. Before Jiang Yinyan proposed his business trip plan, Yunyan tried to contact the old shareholder Mrs. Huang had mentioned. Fearing she might tip off the enemy, Yunyan, accompanied by Mrs. Huang, personally met the old shareholder. The old shareholder and Mrs. Huang shared the same surname, Su. At the beginning of Huang Jifa's rising career, Director Su made significant contributions and brought many connections and resources to the Huang family. But as the company grew, Huang Jifa gradually disregarded these old shareholders. Coupled with the previous global economic crisis, Huang Jifa seized the opportunity to acquire shares from some of the old shareholders. With more shares in hand, he became more assertive. Director Su was a straightforward person who couldn't stand Huang Jifa, so he simply lived a semi-retired life, no longer involving himself in company matters. Mrs. Huang sought Yunyan's help because Director Su and Yu Yiyuan shared similar aspirations and interests. Yu Yiyuan loved fishing during his lifetime, and through their shared hobby, he connected with Director Su. They hit it off, becoming close friends despite their age difference. When Yu Yiyuan had his accident, Director Su also tried to help, but the Yu family's affairs were too vast for an ordinary person to handle. When Yu Yiyuan passed away, Director Su grieved for quite some time, still bothered by it. I haven't fished since your father passed away. The autumn afternoon sun was just right. At Director Su's estate, Director Su dismissed his servants and personally entertained Yunyan and Mrs. Huang. Director Su wasn't born in Jiangnan, but his wife was from Jiangnan, so in his early years, he settled his family there and also invested in the Huang family. Later, Director Su's wife passed away, and coupled with Huang Jifa's misdeeds and the death of his close friend Yu Yiyuan, Director Su had no further attachment to Jiangnan and returned to North China. Over 300 li from Beishur, in an estate far from the bustling world, Director Su was spending his twilight years, living an undisturbed life. Mrs. Huang had informed him in advance, before bringing Yunyan. Upon learning that Yue Yuan's daughter was coming, Director Su seemed quite excited, and after meeting Yunyan, he couldn't help but reminisce about the past. Yunyan was not in a hurry and just accompanied Director Su, talking about old times. After a long conversation, Director Su grew quite sentimental, saying, Yuan, he weathered all sorts of storms, yet he didn't survive this last one, sigh. He then asked about Yunyan's mother. Yunyan informed him that her mother's health wasn't very good, and she was undergoing recuperation. Director Su was slightly surprised to learn that Yunyan's mother was also in Beishur. Yunyan found Director Su's expression somewhat strange, so she asked what was wrong. Director Su asked, Did your mother agree to go to Beishur? Yunyan thought about her mother's situation and said, It wasn't exactly her agreement. It was my brother's and my idea. With the collapse of the Yu family, the few remaining businesses were in Beishur. Director Su suddenly understood and said, No wonder. No wonder? Yunyan didn't understand Director Su's meaning. Director Su chuckled and said, Your mother, she doesn't like Beishur very much. Yunyan smiled upon hearing this. No, my mother loves Beishur. She loved the northern culture, the northern way of life, and even insisted on cultivating orchids that were native to the north. Director Su was surprised to hear this. Your father said your mother really disliked Beishur. Maybe I misheard. Your father knew best what your mother liked and disliked. Their relationship was a legend in the circle. Yunyan just smiled, not taking it to heart, thinking it was most likely Director Su who had misheard. When they had reminisced enough, Director Su got to the point. You've come to see me today about the shares, haven't you? Director Su was a seasoned veteran of the business world. No matter how excited he had been moments ago, reminiscing like any ordinary elder, he was not an average person after all. How could he truly believe they had traveled such a distance just to reminisce? Since Director Su got straight to the point, Mrs. Huang didn't hide anything either. She stated her purpose and explained that she brought the Yu family's young lady because the two families already had a cooperative project, and therefore Mrs. Huang needed to gain more control in the company. Director Su looked at Mrs. Huang for a long time and said, Well, it's not like I didn't know you before. It's a pity you spent these past few years as a full-time housewife. Yunyan heard this and felt there was hope. Since Director Su knew Mrs. Huang's past, he would understand that transferring these shares wouldn't be too much of a loss. Chairman Su hit a wall, the first step of a 1,000-mile journey already landing on a rock. But Yunyan and Madame Huang weren't discouraged. They had long been mentally prepared. Although Chairman Su was said to be open-minded, his ability to thrive in the business world for so long indicated he was a deeply calculating person, and getting such a person a hand over his shares was no easy feat. Yunyan comforted Madame Huang, saying she would think of another way. After all, he was someone close to her father, so she was sure she could find a good solution. But wouldn't Madame Huang's continued stay in Beishur make Huang Jifa suspicious? Madame Huang said, Huang Jifa has been staying in Beishur. Isn't he afraid of me being suspicious? I haven't been sleeping well recently, and Su Huai found an expert to help me regulate my sleep, so there's nothing unusual about me staying in Beishur. Huang Jifa had no intention of leaving, and he often used business dinners as an excuse to stay out all night. Madame Huang said, Did he really think I didn't know? He spends every night with that little vixen. The little vixen seemed to be escalating her behavior, perhaps stimulated by the hotel encounter, constantly trying to entangle Huang Jifa. Yunyan admired Madame Huang. She was truly tolerant, even with the vixen lording it over her. Madame Huang said, That man is useless to me now, so my goal isn't to win him back, but to hold the power, to take his wealth, and leave him. That's the key. Yunyan felt that once a woman made up her mind, her heart could turn completely cold. Madame Huang was one who had made up her mind. After being rejected by Yunyan several times, Si Tinji finally backed down. The key was that both Yunyan and Yu Wanzhou were resolute. They absolutely would not replace Jiang Cheng. Si Tinji made a call, chuckling, Miss Yu's heart is truly cold, not giving me any chance at all. I consider my conditions to be quite good. What exactly does Miss Yu want? Yunyan chuckled softly. What I want is sincerity. Can young Master Si afford to give it? Si Tinji pondered for a moment. Miss Yu, how will you know I can't afford it if you don't try? Young Master Si, any hesitation doesn't count as sincerity. Any hesitation means considering an equivalent exchange. Si Tinji smiled, seemingly helpless. Miss Yu, you are truly formidable. Si Tinji had backed out, but Si Tingyuan had not. Yunyan received a jade pendant, a gift from Si Tingyuan, accompanied by an exquisite brocade box that made Yunyan almost want to keep the box and return the pendant. The jade pendant looked familiar. After careful recollection, she remembered it. Wasn't this the one Si Tingyuan had bid on at the last an jewelry appreciation event? What a grand gesture. Si Tingyuan called, asking if she liked his gift. He added, originally, I didn't want to send you such mundane things, but I was afraid elegant items might be inappropriate. Thinking about it, I'm just an ordinary person myself, and after choosing, I felt this jade pendant, at least, is a clear stream among common things. I hope you don't dislike it. How could Si Tingyuan be an ordinary person, whether in knowledge or insight, and his hobbies were even more high-end? Saying this was merely self-effacing. Yunyan said, Mr. Si, you jest. This jade pendant is rare in the world. Calling it a clear stream is an understatement. As long as you like it. Yunyan didn't say anything superfluous on the phone. Si Tingyuan asked her, are you free tonight? There's a restaurant with good food. We could go try it. Mr. Si, you've been in Beishur for quite some time now, haven't you? Yunyan asked abruptly. Si Tingyuan said, I have several projects being discussed in Beishur, and I'll also be attending a business exchange meeting a week from now. He paused. More importantly, the cooperation with the Yu family hasn't been finalized yet. Yunyan said softly, regarding the cooperation between our two families, the Yu family has always been sincere. The key attitude lies with the Si family, and I hope Mr. Si can understand this. Of course, that's why I wanted to invite Miss Yu tonight. To discuss cooperation? Yunyan asked. Si Tingyuan smiled, of course. Yunyan thought for a moment, all right. As it turned out, the person who appeared at the restaurant that evening was Yuan Zhou. Si Tingyuan was a smart man. Seeing Yuan Zhou, he immediately understood. Yuan Zhou, elegant and refined, placed a beautiful brocade box on the table, gently pushing it towards Si Tingyuan, and said, Yunyan said this pendant is quite beautiful, and she has admired it enough. Now she returns it to Mr. Si. Si Tingyuan smiled wryly. Currently, I am fully responsible for all external business matters of the Yu family. Yunyan is not familiar with the details of project cooperation, nor does she have the patience to list out all the clauses. Therefore, tonight, Mr. Si, I will discuss the cooperation details with you. Yuan Zhou was direct and efficient in his speech and actions. Of course, if Mr. Si still wants to consider it, I fully respect that. Yunyan was right. The key attitude for the cooperation between our two families still lies with the Si family. Si Tingyuan was not someone whose judgment was clouded by beauty. Although a smile played on his lips, his gaze was sharp. It seems the Yu family has accurately grasped that the Si family doesn't have much time. Although we don't want to use time as an issue, isn't that indeed the truth? Yuan Zhou smiled faintly. Si Tingyuan chuckled. You two siblings are truly formidable. After a brief pause, he looked up at Yuan Zhou. All right, our two families' cooperation will restart. On the first day of November, the sun was still bright. Most of the trees in Beishur had turned yellow, and the rustling wind scattered golden leaves across the ground. When Yunyan received Huang Jifa's call, Jiang Yinyan was placing the bag she had casually carried into the trunk, without old Lu's help. Huang Jifa sounded ecstatic on the phone. He had contacted the person using the contact information Yunyan provided, and the two had a good chat. You really have a way, Miss Yu. Don't worry, if I'm fortunate enough to participate in the project, the Yu family will certainly not be forgotten. He also told Yunyan, the other party knew I was Miss Yu's friend, and they were incredibly enthusiastic. Yunyan sat in the car. Jiang Yinyan also got in on the other side. As the door closed, the man sent quietly enveloped her, captivating her. Yunyan said softly, then I wish Mr. Huang a successful start. I must borrow Miss Yu's auspicious words. Huang Jifa sounded very happy. He then added, but, Miss Yu, honestly, you are my lucky star. Don't you think our horoscopes are perfectly compatible? Ever since our two families started cooperating, my luck has truly been on a steady rise. Yunyan showed no emotion. If that's truly the case, then it's a good thing. Huang Jifa roared with laughter on the phone. Yunyan remained silent, thinking about Huang Jifa's various affairs. Couldn't he just live a good life after achieving career success? Did he have to keep a little vixen outside and cause trouble? Huang Jifa asked, is Miss Yu free tonight? I must treat you to a meal to express my gratitude. Yunyan said, Mr. Huang, I'm taking payment for this, so there's no need for a meal. One thing at a time, I absolutely must treat you. Not tonight, then tomorrow night, or whenever Miss Yu is free. Huang Jifa was persistent. Yunyan didn't know how many days she would be traveling with Jiang Yinyan, so she replied, I won't be free for the next few days, Mr. Huang. It's the same if I meet up with Madame Huang later. All right, Miss Yu, please go ahead with your plans. Just let me know whenever you're free. Huang Jifa, having received benefits, was exceptionally polite. After hanging up, Yunyan still felt Huang Jifa's bewitching laughter in her ears. She wondered what Madame Huang had ever seen in him. Almost immediately, Jiang Yinyan's phone rang. Yunyan didn't even need to look to know who it was. He really couldn't wait. She leaned slightly, her head resting against the car window, closing her eyes to rest. It was indeed Huang Jifa. The car was enclosed and quiet, allowing Huang Jifa's voice to continuously penetrate Yunyan's ears. That bewitching laughter echoed again. It swirled around Yunyan's ears like a spell, annoying her into a frown. Jiang Yunyan's tone was very flat. State your business. Huang Jifa then reined in his laughter and happily informed Jiang Yunyan, reporting the progress of the matter. This whole thing was able to move forward smoothly, all thanks to Miss Yu. The other party truly gave Miss Yu face. Jiang Yunyan gave an very good. Young Master Yin, the project is now set in stone, isn't it? Huang Jifa chuckled obsequiously on the other end. How could Jiang Yunyan not understand Huang Jifa's intentions? He said calmly, "Thank you for your trouble, Boss Huang. Don't worry, I won't forget you after the project is finalized." Oh, with your words, young Master Yin, aren't I assured? If I'm fortunate enough to cooperate with you, young Master Yin, that would be 3 lifetimes of good fortune for Huang Jifa. Yunyan listened to those insincere words on the phone, feeling nauseous. But isn't this how life is? When facing survival, one must bow their head if necessary. In this day and age, everyone walks their own path and suffers their own hardships. Perhaps Huang Jifa was too eager to claim credit in front of Jiang Yunyan, chattering endlessly and occasionally bringing up Yunyan, saying, "Miss you, she's cold on the outside but warm on the inside. This time, we truly owe it to her." Jiang Yunyan smiled, turned to look at Yunyan, and raised a hand to caress her head. "Miss Yu is indeed cold on the outside, warm on the inside." Yunyan understood the implication in his words, and her breathing hitched. Huang Jifa still didn't seem ready to hang up. "Last time, young master, Yin said Miss Yu had unresolved issues regarding the Jiang family. The fact that Miss Yu is willing to help proactively this time shows she's still an approachable person. Young Master Yin, should I perhaps act as a go-between and arrange for the Yu family and Jiang family to sit down and have a good talk?" Jiang Yunyan's hand didn't retract. He smoothly cupped the back of her neck, gently caressing her soft skin. Seeing her flinch, his grip suddenly tightened, pulling her completely into his embrace. Yunyan didn't struggle. There was no point, as she couldn't break free anyway. "You're very thoughtful, Boss Huang," Jiang Yunyan said indifferently. Huang Jifa chuckled, asking Jiang Yunyan, "Young Master Yin, are you free tonight? I'd like to treat you to dinner." Jiang Yunyan's hand slowly slid down, gently pinching Yunyan's slender waist, his long fingers slipping through the gap in her clothes. "I'm not free tonight. Then tomorrow night? Or, whenever young Master Yin is free, I'll wait for your convenience." Huang Jifa asked the same question. Jiang Yunyan said, "I won't be available for the next few days." Yunyan suddenly looked up at him. He also looked down at her with a half-smile. Huang Jifa let out an ah on the other end, then quickly oh twice, then, "I'll wait for your time, young Master Yin." After the call ended, Yunyan broke free from his embrace, frowning slightly. "Your answer just now will make him suspicious." "What answer?" Jiang Yunyan wasn't provoked by her attitude, asking languidly. "You said you wouldn't be free for the next few days." Jiang Yunyan, perfectly composed, said, "I'm going on a business trip out of town, so I won't be available for the next few days anyway." Is there a problem with that answer? Yunyan knew he was being deliberately provocative. The same meaning could be expressed in different ways, but he chose to use the exact same wording as her just now. Even a fool would know what was going on. "He'll suspect our relationship," she said, taking a deep breath. Jiang Yunyan looked at her with interest. "What relationship do we have?" Yunyan stared into his eyes, and for a moment, she wanted to laugh. Yes, what relationship did they have? Could such an unspeakable relationship even be called a relationship? For a moment, she didn't want to say anything more. She stood up, intending to move away, but a large hand on her waist suddenly pulled her back into his embrace. Old Liu drove in front, never taking his eyes off the road, but cleverly raised the soundproof partition. Yunyan's heart fluttered, and she became even more nervous after the soundproof partition went up, struggling for a moment. "Don't move around," Jiang Yunyan growled softly, looking stern and solemn as he slightly frowned. Yunyan smartly stopped moving. She wasn't confident enough to provoke him and escape unscathed, and the back seat had become a completely enclosed space. The previous experience still made her feel fearful when she thought about it. Jiang Yunyan commanded her to look up at him, then chuckled and asked, "What are you afraid of? Do you really not want outsiders to know about our relationship?" Yunyan used his own methods against him. "What relationship do we have? What do I have to be afraid of outsiders knowing?" Jiang Yunyan's eyes hid a smile, yet they were heavy and dark, making people dare not probe deeper. He whispered, "Yunyan, Don't throw a tantrum with me. Yunyan pursed her lips and remained silent. When she slightly lowered her gaze, she appeared entirely docile. Jiang Yunyan seemed quite satisfied, and his tone softened. Do you think he doesn't know? Yunyan looked up at him. Jiang Yunyan met her gaze. That day in the hospital room, he might have already known. Yunyan's breathing hitched for a moment. It seems her guess was correct. Although she had hidden in the bedroom of the hospital room that day and didn't come out, Huang Jifa had still guessed. What truly confirmed it for him was that bracelet, because Jiang Yunyan had deliberately let him see it that day. What exactly do you want to do? Yunyan truly couldn't understand. Despising their relationship to the ground while not bothering to conceal it from outsiders, was he just trying to humiliate her so pointedly? Jiang Yunyan gazed at her, then suddenly chuckled after a long moment. The esteemed daughter of the Yu family, messing around with her fiancé's paternal uncle. Isn't that exciting? Yunyan's face flushed and paled. He was truly skilled at humiliating people. After a long silence, I've already severed ties with the Jiang family. What more? Not enough. Jiang Yunyan sat up straight, gently stroking her spine, and slowly said, Jiangze must completely shed the title of the Yu family's future son-in-law. As he said this, he pulled her back, looked down at her, a profound darkness in the depths of his eyes that was difficult to fathom. I want you to be completely and utterly mine. Yunyan's breathing grew frantic. At this moment, she read a madness in Jiang Yunyan's eyes, and this feeling made her truly terrified. Why was this happening? She didn't know. Nanzhou, unlike Beishur, was still warm even in late autumn. The car window was lowered, and a faint fragrance of Milan flowers mingled with the salty dampness of the sea. Passing through the commercial district, many shops had large pumpkin lanterns piled at their entrances, and young people on the streets were dressed in various ghostly costumes, making for a lively scene. It was then that Yunyan remembered today was Halloween. Chinese ghost festivals are generally considered to be the Zhongyuan festival on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, also known as the Ulambana festival in Buddhism. Regardless of the name, the days around it are primarily for ancestor worship, burning paper money and lighting lanterns to guide lonely spirits. People in the living world dare not, and would not, joke or mock those in the underworld. It was taboo, but on Halloween, young people let loose without any inhibitions. Yunyan remembered that when she was studying abroad, she actually found Halloween quite bothersome. Walking down the street, a ghostly face might suddenly pop out and scare her half to death, or she'd be stopped by children trick-or-treating. So, in later years, she developed a habit. She would carry a stash of chocolates and candies in her pockets, and hand them out immediately to any child running around with a pumpkin lantern. Yunyan averted her gaze. Student days seemed like a lifetime ago. Beside her, Jiang Yunyan leaned back, eyes closed in rest, but the grip on her hand indicated he wasn't asleep. On the direct flight from Beishur to Nanzhou, Yunyan had said at the airport, I thought you always took a private jet when you traveled. Jiang Yunyan gave her a rather cynical reason. True low-key is a great hermit hiding in the city. Could he really hide? Yunyan didn't think so. In first class, a dedicated flight attendant served only the two of them. Yunyan learned later that this was specifically arranged by Nanzhou, requesting extra care for young Master Yan on this flight. Yunyan said, to truly hide, you should be in economy class, or take an old green train. Jiang Yunyan chuckled. Yunyan, go find me an old green train heading to Nanzhou. These days, old green trains were almost antiques. Upon arrival at Nanzhou Airport, the reception was considerable. Several prominent figures led the welcoming party, followed by numerous bodyguards in suits. Jiang Yunyan frowned immediately. Old Liu, who was with him, saw this and said, we repeatedly stressed that there was no need for a reception, but they still came. The leading figures were delighted to see Jiang Yunyan and wanted to catch up on the spot. Jiang Yunyan responded coolly, saying they could talk once they reached their destination. People coming and going at the airport were all staring. Yunyan walked by Jiang Yunyan's side, thoroughly concealed by sunglasses and a mask. Jiang Yunyan, though not wearing a mask, also wore sunglasses, clearly disliking being exposed to the public eye. Yet, with Jiang Yunyan's looks, even without a retinue, he would still draw attention. He possessed the height advantage typical of northern men, making him particularly stand out in a place like Nanzhou. Even with sunglasses, his sharp facial contours were discernible, especially his sensual jawline, sharp enough to captivate countless women. The hotel room had been booked in advance, a presidential suite, suspended high above Nanzhou, with panoramic floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the Azure Sea. There was only one room. This meant Yunyan would be spending every night with Jiang Yunyan for the next few days. Upon reaching the hotel, those individuals began conversing with Jiang Yunyan, mostly exchanging pleasantries and warm greetings. One of them found Yunyan somewhat familiar, and was pondering this when Jiang Yunyan directly introduced her to everyone. Upon learning she was the Yu family's daughter and accompanying Jiang Yinyan on a business trip, the gazes of those present took on an extra layer of ambiguous meaning. Some, unable to restrain themselves, tentatively asked, I heard the Jiang and Yu families have an engagement, right? When will the happy event be held? Another asked more explicitly, is Miss Yu marrying young Master Jiang Zhe? Then, addressing Jiang Yinyan, did young Master Jiang Zhe also come along this time? Jiang Yinyan answered curtly, no. The men exchanged glances. Then Miss Yu is... Their words were incomplete, but the meaning was unmistakably clear. Her accompanying her fiancé's uncle to Nanzhou, without her fiancé present, certainly invited speculation. Yunyan calmly spoke, I came for Yu family project. It was a coincidence meeting young Master Yan, so we decided to travel together. The man smiled and asked, I didn't realize, Miss, you could also handle projects? His words carried obvious hidden intent. Yunyan smiled slightly. I study business. Although I lack experience, trying and practicing are valuable, especially since the Yu family has nothing left to lose. She subtly retorted, leaving the other party speechless for a moment. The other person who remained impassive was Jiang Yinyan. He looked at Yunyan, his thin lips pressed together. Is Miss Yu also staying at this hotel? Someone beside him asked. Before Yunyan could answer, Jiang Yinyan spoke, his voice slightly cold. She came with me. Where else would she stay if not here? His displeasure was evident. The man quickly offered an apologetic smile. No, young Master Yin, you misunderstood. I was wondering if Miss Yu had booked her room yet. I just wanted to fulfill my duties as a host. We mustn't neglect the Yu family's daughter. Old Lu, Jiang Yinyan snapped. His attitude was clearly unfriendly, and everyone around felt it. Old Lu stepped forward. Yes, young Master Yin? Is the room booked? Old Lu was no fool. Upon hearing Jiang Yinyan's question, he understood his intent and replied unhurriedly. I only managed to book Miss Yu's room. Jiang Yinyan turned his head slightly. That's how it is. The other presidential suite at the hotel wasn't available. We only managed to temporarily book one room, and I'm currently communicating with the hotel, Old Lu explained. Jiang Yinyan's thin lips parted slightly. Just book me any room. There's no need to insist on a presidential suite. First, send Miss Yu back to her room to rest. Yes. Yunyan glanced at Jiang Yinyan, her heart finally settling. Thankfully, he hadn't recklessly exposed their unspeakable relationship. She bowed slightly. Thank you, young Master Yin. The others also dispelled their doubts. Someone chuckled. Miss Yu is still so formal with young Master Yin. He's young Master Jiang Zhe's uncle, so won't he be Miss Yu's uncle in the future? Yunyan initially didn't want to address these remarks, but after hearing them for so long, they became grating. She looked at the man and said, You are busy with important affairs, so perhaps you didn't know that the engagement between the Jiang and Yu families has been canceled. It's good to clarify this today, to prevent misunderstandings and avoid awkwardness between young Master Yin and me. Everyone was surprised upon hearing this. Today, young Master Yin was gracious enough to give me a ride, so please don't associate me with the Jiang family. Yun Yin's voice was soft and clear, distinctly distancing herself from the Jiang family. But she also knew in her heart that this method of clarifying one by one was indeed unwise. A unilateral declaration was also unstable and would only make her a laughingstock. Old Lu personally escorted Yunyan upstairs. After Yunyan was out of earshot, someone asked Jiang Yinyan, is the engagement really canceled? Mr. Li, you're slow to catch on. Jiang Yinyan replied calmly, my nephew caused quite a stir a while ago, and Miss Yu found it humiliating, so she canceled the engagement. After all, Jiang Zhe was in the wrong first, and the Yu family is proud, so it's only natural for them to propose breaking off the engagement. Upon hearing it was the Jiang family's problem, they dared not joke about it again. How can young Master Yin just take any room? I'll go ask the hotel. No need. Any room will do. I'm not particular. The project is what's important. Yunyan sat in her room, stunned for a long time. For a moment, she actually wanted to go find collaborators on the street. Anything was better than sitting idly in a room like a wooden chicken. But in reality, she was just brought along by Jiang Yinyan to alleviate the boredom of his business trip. No matter how grand and presentable her words were in the lobby just now. In truth, she was merely trying to maintain her last shred of dignity. Before Old Lu left, he told Yunyan, young Master Yan's schedule is quite full this time, miss you. If you get bored, you can look around nearby, but don't go too far. Yunyan asked, is his schedule very full? Old Lu nodded. Originally it was 5 days, but young Master Yin temporarily compressed it to 3, so the schedule will be very tight. Yunyan was startled at the news. It was originally 5 days? She didn't even know. Then, were there any schedule adjustments? Why was it compressed to 3 days? Yunyan asked. Old Lu mused. The temporary schedule adjustment was decided by young Master Yin when he was almost at the airport. The specific reason is unclear. What about after that? Are we returning to Bayshore? Yun Yin pressed. Old Lu indicated he didn't know. Young master, Yin hasn't given instructions yet. After Old Lu left, Yun Yin wondered what exactly happened to make Jiang Yin change his itinerary at the last minute. She had no idea. Yun Yin simply stopped worrying about it. She couldn't influence his decisions, and his schedule was none of her business. It was a good thing Jiang Yin booked another room, right? Whether he would actually sleep in the other room was unclear, but Yun Yin only prayed his schedule would be even fuller, so he might not have the energy to torment her. When Xiao Min called, Yun Yin had just finished zoning out and was tidying her skincare products in her handbag. She hadn't brought many things, just enough clothes for a change. Even Jiang Yin had been surprised by her sparse luggage, looking at her incredulously as he carried her bag. Is this all? That's all. Yun Yin thought she wasn't going to fashion show. Why bring so many things? Jiang Yin had casually remarked. What if you need to accompany me to a dinner party? Yun Yin's foot slipped, and she almost fell. Fortunately, Jiang Yin quickly reached out and steadied her. She looked up at him. Are you kidding? Jiang Yin's expression wasn't pleasant. He snorted coldly. A moment later, he said coolly, if you need anything later, buy it locally. Xiao Min, upon learning she had come to Nanzhou with Jiang Yin, was full of worry in her words. Does he want you to stay in a room these few days and not come out? He's really something. Others would rather hide you away. What does he want to do? What did he want to do? Yun Yin sighed. She couldn't understand him either. Their current relationship was inherently clandestine, yet he brought her out in front of people. If he wanted to humiliate her, he could have completely exposed her earlier, yet he had helped her salvage her dignity. Contradictory? Yes, contradictory. So Yun Yin couldn't answer Xiao Min's question. Xiao Min sighed. Even she felt Yun Yin's relationship with Jiang Yin was too oppressive and suffocating. I called to tell you something about Mora, Xiao Min said, getting to the point. Has she contacted you recently? Xiao Min's sudden question itself was strange. Yun Yin said, I haven't been in touch lately, but there were some contacts before. You should still keep your distance from her, Xiao Min said softly. I have a junior staff member who accidentally saw Mora and GZ together. GZ gave Mora something, though it's unclear what, but the two seem to have a lot in common. Yun Yin was surprised. Mora and GZ? Those two couldn't be more unrelated. Do you know what she gave Mora? Xiao Min said she wasn't sure. The junior staff member could only watch from afar and dared not approach. Mora had bodyguards, so it was impossible to get close. Xiao Min then told Yun Yin about GZ's current situation. It's also quite strange. Her agent was frantically looking for me before, scheduling several meetings. The implication was quite clear. She wanted GZ to find an opportunity to make a comeback. I didn't care for GZ, so I kept stalling her agent. Xiao Min explained to Yun Yin, but in the past few days her agent has quieted down, and I haven't seen her rushing to spread news. I don't know why. After ending the call, Yun Yin inexplicably felt a sense of uneasy apprehension. It was GZ's business. She shouldn't be feeling this way. Xiao Min asked on the phone when she would return to Bayshore, and Yun Yin couldn't say. Finally, Xiao Min subtly reminded her, you must take the necessary precautions. Once something happens, it's always the woman who suffers. Yun Yin looked at the bustling crowds below, a heavy feeling in her heart. Her phone vibrated again. It was a WeChat message from Yuanzhou, informing her that Ting Yuan had begun the contract procedures. It was supposed to be good news, but Yun Yin somehow couldn't feel happy. She replied to Yuanzhou with 3 words, that's great. But Yuanzhou quickly sent another message. Are you unhappy? This was the bond they shared since childhood. Even through a phone screen, he could sense that something was wrong with her. Yun Yin didn't want to be swayed by this annoying emotion, trying her best to get her feelings back on track. She sent a voice message, first the factory, then the cooperation between the U and C families. Everything has gone smoothly one after another. What do I have to be unhappy about? Yuanzhou simply called her. Yun Yin hesitated for a moment, then answered. A man's sixth sense can sometimes be very strong, Yuanzhou said softly. Yun Yin didn't want him to worry. She chuckled. Facts prove that a man's sixth sense is more like complaining without cause. Hearing her laugh, Yuanzhou relaxed, his tone joyful. Once the contract is finalized, we'll go back to Jiangnan. Yun Yin felt a lump in her throat. Yuanzhou was sensitive. What's wrong? Then he hesitantly asked, you don't want to go back, do you? Of course I do. Yun Yin stood by the window, her gaze distant, falling on a vast blue coastline, where seagulls seemed to be soaring over the sea in the distance. I'm just very scared. Scared of what? Yun Yin raised her hand, her slender, fair fingers gently pressed against the azure color shimmering on the glass, the nagging unease still lingering in her heart. Yun Yin considered herself an emotionally stable person, and she had always been grateful for the optimistic outlook her parents instilled in her. Even after suffering family upheaval and experiencing the cold realities of life, Yunyan believed that as long as she and Yu Wanzhou didn't collapse, there would always be hope to change their situation. She was well aware of how hard Yu Wanzhou fought for the Yu family's affairs, and she saw one unfruitful project after another slowly coming back to life under his efforts. She had also been continuously looking forward to returning to Jiangnan, to their own territory, but recently, this feeling of unease always enveloped her from time to time. She knew that the biggest factor causing this unease was Jiang Yinyan. He was an extremely unstable element. Yu Wanzhou had a vague guess about Yunyan's worries, but he never exposed her thoughts, merely asking her, "Where are you now?" Upon learning she was in Nanzhou and that she had gone with Jiang Yinyan, Yu Wanzhou was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. "Let me know once you're back in Beishur." His voice was hoarse and low. Yunyan wanted to say something, but couldn't, feeling a deep ache in her heart. What could she say? Her presence, there was exactly as Yu Wanzhou had suspected. Jiang Yinyan didn't rest after getting off the plane. He immediately rushed into a meeting with the project team, enduring several hours without even a sip of water. The meals were neatly arranged on the cart, untouched. The discussion finally concluded as the sky darkened. Taking advantage of the break, he called Old Lu and asked about Yunyan. Old Lu said, "Miss Yu didn't leave her hotel room before noon. She went out in the afternoon." Shopping. Old Lu nodded. Yes, she went to a fishing tackle shop. Jiang Yinyan was looking at documents when he heard this and was surprised. A fishing tackle shop? Yes, Old Lu said softly. She stayed there for quite a long time and came out empty-handed. It's unclear if she didn't buy anything or if she bought something and had it mailed. Jiang Yinyan frowned slightly in thought. He hadn't seen her enjoy fishing before. Where is she now? Back at the hotel. He glanced at the time again. Tell the restaurant to prepare some of her favorite dishes. Old Lu informed him. Miss Yu hasn't returned to the hotel yet. Jiang Yinyan looked up at him, his gaze turning serious. Old Lu quickly explained. It's like this. Miss Yu returned to the hotel after leaving the fishing tackle shop, but she went out again shortly after, and she didn't let the car follow her. Nonsense. Jiang Yinyan frowned, closed his documents, and grabbed his phone. Old Lu feared he would burst into anger and quickly advised. Miss Yu said she was just wandering around nearby. Young Master Yin, this is within the country. It's very safe. Jiang Yinyan's displeased brows relaxed slightly, but his emotions weren't completely suppressed. He glanced at the sky again, thought for a moment, and still made a call. Unexpectedly, before he could finish dialing the last digit, a message popped up on his phone. It was a spending alert for a considerable amount. Seeing this message, Jiang Yinyan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It meant Yunyan was shopping. He had given her his primary card directly before. Smaller amounts didn't trigger alerts. Only large expenditures would prompt the bank to send a notification. It seemed Yunyan had bought quite a lot, as several more large expenditure alerts subsequently arrived on Jiang Yinyan's phone. Jiang Yinyan's brows and eyes relaxed. Old Lu, find out the location of this mall, he ordered. Old Lu glanced at the information on Jiang Yinyan's phone and memorized it. Just then, Yinyan called. Jiang Yinyan answered. Young Master Yin. The voice from the other end of the phone sounded quite pleasant, unexpectedly sweet. Jiang Yinyan paused slightly on his end, and for some reason, a subtle sweetness also bloomed deep within his heart. Where are you? Jiang Yinyan asked after a moment, his voice low. The night outside the window reflected the man's tall figure, his suit sharp, but a slight softness in his brows. Yunyan stated a location on her end. Old Lu promptly handed his phone over, and Jiang Yinyan casually glanced at the location Old Lu had found, giving a slight nod. It was the same location Yunyan had mentioned. How could a man be made to get tired of her as quickly as possible? Yunyan called Xiao Min after speaking with Yu Wanzhou to ask for her advice on this very question. Fortunately, Xiao Min wasn't busy and was surprised to hear her request. Didn't you already have a plan? Giving whatever he asked for, not resisting, actively accommodating. This was a method Yunyan had previously thought of, and she had used it a few times, but she couldn't handle it. When Jiang Yinyan was dressed, he was exceedingly ascetic, but once undressed, he was a complete beast, the kind of ferocity that devours people without leaving a trace. When she didn't cooperate, she was already tortured to death. With her cooperation and even active accommodation, he became even more excited. After several rounds, she simply couldn't endure it. Is there a subtle, imperceptible way to make him quickly tired of me? Yinyan didn't quite know how to describe it. She had to find a way to get rid of Jiang Yinyan as soon as possible so she could smoothly leave Beishur, and even after returning to Jiangnan, she wouldn't have to worry about retaliation. She had thought about hiding in an unfamiliar place for a while, but that idea was too naive. Firstly, Yu Wanzhou still had things to do, and the Yu family's affairs couldn't be abandoned. Secondly, with Jiang Yinyan's capabilities, if he truly didn't want to let someone go, that person running to the ends of the earth would be useless, and such an escape would only ignite his fighting spirit even more. Yes, with Jiang Yinyan's capabilities, not just those of young Master Yin, the Crown Prince of Beijing. He was Jiang Yinyan, he was A Yin. She never knew what had happened to Yin before he came to the Yu family, nor what happened after he left. She didn't know what power was hidden behind him. Xiaomin couldn't help but laugh. She knew this was quite a distressing matter and shouldn't be funny. You're really something, asking for a subtle, imperceptible way. If you want a man to get tired of you quickly, it's easy. Just act out with all your might. At first, men will be patient, but after too many times, too many tricks, who would still want to bother with you? Yunyan grasped onto this like a drowning person, asking Xiaomin, how do I act out? Xiaomin sighed. Didn't you ever throw unreasonable tantrums when you were little? Yunyan thought for a long time. My parents always said I was quite sensible when I was little. In my memory, I never really made a fuss with adults. Only once, after being traumatized, she refused to leave her room no matter what, and then her father pulled out a big move, summoning Ian. But that wasn't really an unreasonable tantrum, was it? Xiaomin massaged her forehead. Don't rush, let me think. Think fast. Xiaomin pondered for a moment. For instance, spend his money recklessly. Yunyan had the bank card Jiang Yinyan gave her right there. She had originally intended to find an opportunity to return it to him. Hearing Xiaomin's words, she let out a heavy sigh. Even if I spend recklessly, it's just shopping. I can't exactly use his money to invest in projects, can I? Once it got involved in projects, the problems would be huge, and then she'd be even more trapped. True, he's so rich. For a moment, Xiaomin couldn't think of a better solution. After some thought, she added, but spending money is essential, and you have to let the man know. Also, even if you know he's busy, you absolutely must demand his company. Or, if you can't sleep in the middle of the night, you absolutely must have something to eat immediately. Things like that, that's how you act out. Xiaomin paused here to think, then continued. And simply acting out isn't enough. You must also be insecure, constantly worried about gain and loss. What do you mean? Why do men who keep mistresses on the side end up with a fourth or fifth one? Yinyan thought for a moment. The novelty wore off. But then she realized, wasn't she trying to make Jiang Yinyan lose interest in her? Those who initially kept mistresses were mostly drawn by beauty. At first, they were definitely infatuated, but the reason they get tired quickly, in most cases, is because the relationship is unequal. The mistress covets the man's financial power and influence, desperately wanting to move up, using every trick in the book to tie the man down. Those with high-level tactics know how to play hard to get, to play a long game to catch a big fish. Those with lower-level tactics are like what I just described. Insecure, constantly worried about gain and loss, always needing to know the man's whereabouts, his activities.